Why does France, a country of 67 million people, a country with 1,000 years of history, one of the world's richest, most advanced countries, have only one true major city? Why is Paris so big, so powerful, and so overwhelmingly dominant, while cities like Lyon, Marseille, Toulouse, Bordeaux, and Lille remain far behind? Germany has Berlin, Munich, Frankfurt, Hamburg. Italy has Milan, Rome, Naples, Turin. Spain has Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, Seville. But France? France has Paris and then a long empty gap. This isn't a coincidence. It isn't geography. And it isn't because the other cities are weak. France is the way it is because for over 300 years, the country was deliberately designed to have one center of power: Paris. From the French kings who crushed regional authority, to Napoleon who built a hyper-centralized state, to modern infrastructure like the TGV that circles back toward Paris, the system was built to make Paris the heart of everything: politics, money, education, culture, transportation, even national identity. All roads in France, literally and figuratively, lead to Paris. So why doesn't France have any major city outside Paris? And that's the story we're about to explore. According to Mark Jefferson's classic definition, a primate city is one that is at least twice as large as the next city and at least twice as important politically, economically, and culturally. By that definition, Paris is the perfect example. As of 2021, the Paris metropolitan region had a population of around 11.079 million. It is 6.39 times larger than Lyon, 1.734 million, the second largest French city, and 6.86 times larger than Marseille Aix-en-Provence, 1.614 million, the third largest. This ratio is highly unstable for any healthy, balanced urban system. For comparison, Berlin, Germany's largest city, has 3.567 million people, and Hamburg, the second largest, has 1.789 million. Their primacy ratio is only 1.99, vastly lower than France's. Paris's dominance is even more overwhelming in the economic realm. Île-de-France alone produces 31% of France's GDP, far above what its population share would suggest. Its per capita GDP, 65,200 euros, is the highest in France. In 2021, the Paris metropolitan region was the largest GDP region in the European Union, 757.63 billion euros. That is several times more than Madrid, 296 billion, or Berlin, 211.9 billion. This makes one thing clear: Paris is not merely France's political capital. It is the financial, administrative, and high-value service and anchor of the entire nation. In simple terms, unlike Germany or Italy, both multinodal urban countries, France is built in such a way that other cities never really got the chance to grow on an equal footing with Paris. To understand France's urban structure, we have to travel deep into history. The Paris-centric state we see today is the product of centuries of centralizing policy. French kings had long been weakening regional power. After witnessing regional nobles revolt during La Fronde, Louis XIV crushed their political influence, even dissolving local judicial institutions, leaving no significant regional capitals outside Paris. After the Revolution, Napoleon turned this centralized model into something permanent. He divided France into departments, each ruled by a centrally appointed prefect. Local governments existed on paper, but real power? That stayed firmly in Paris. Napoleon also founded the Bank of France, pulling credit, investment, and economic decision-making toward Paris. Over time, France developed an institutional pathway where regional cities never really got the chance to compete on an equal footing with Paris, allowing Paris to evolve into the undisputed political, administrative, and financial hub of the entire nation. Long-term centralization didn't just make Paris the administrative capital, it also created a self-reinforcing economic engine. As power, infrastructure and stability accumulated in Paris, capital began flowing in. Capital attracted skilled labor, and skilled labor strengthened the city's economic advantage. Very quickly, Paris became one of Europe's strongest corporate cities. The Île-de-France region now hosts more Fortune Global 500 headquarters than any other European region. That means major economic decisions in France are made in one place, Paris. Today, Paris is a giant services economy. Business, finance, administration, education, healthcare, everything is concentrated there. In 2011, 90% of all value added in the region came from the service sector. Add to this the power of the knowledge economy. Paris alone accounts for 41% of France's total R&D spending, and over 2 million people work in high-skilled professions there, numbers no other French city comes close to. So Lyon, Toulouse, Bordeaux, no matter how hard they try, begin the race far behind. Higher wages, prestige, and opportunities in Paris create a permanent brain drain from the rest of the country. A cycle emerges. Paris creates opportunities attract people. People reinforce Paris's dominance. This feedback loop keeps Paris firmly at the top of France's urban hierarchy. France strengthened central power not only through political decisions, but also through infrastructure design. The TGV high-speed rail network is the clearest example. Launched in 1981 with the Lyon-Paris line, it was built on a pure hub-and-spoke model, Paris at the center, all major lines radiating outward. This design makes travel to Paris astonishingly fast, but it structurally slows down regional-to-regional travel. Lyon and Lille, two major regional hubs, are only 556 kilometers apart. Yet the average travel time is 4 hours and 40 minutes. Why? Because the TGV system is Paris-focused, not designed for a cross-regional connection. This temporal penalty weakens cooperation and competition among regional cities, keeping Paris the indispensable center for national movement and administration. Germany's ICE network is the total opposite. A mesh system connecting multiple strong cities, Berlin, Frankfurt, Munich, Hamburg, directly with each other. This reflects Germany's decentralized political structure, where regional specialization and interregional connectivity are top priorities. The result: Germany has multiple national centers, whereas France has only one. France has tried to reduce Paris's dominance, but decentralization has been shallow. France identifies itself as an indivisible republic. That philosophy still shapes its political system today. Most reforms in the past 4 decades have been administrative déconcentration, meaning central institutions shifted some tasks downward, but without giving real power. True decentralization, décentralisation, where regional bodies gain autonomous authority, has progressed slowly. The Defray laws of the 1980s gave some powers to regions and municipalities, but with 36,000 small communes and overlapping responsibilities, the impact was limited. The 2015 territorial reform reorganized the map and streamlined administration, but didn't shift political or financial power away from Paris. The biggest barrier? Money. French local governments lack financial autonomy. Subnational governments control only 20% of total public spending. The remaining 80% is controlled by the central government in Paris. Local taxation is limited, and 31% of local budgets come directly from central grants. This means regional governments cannot build major infrastructure or develop strong independent economies. They must wait for approval and funding from the capital. 4 decades of reform, yet the political reality hasn't changed. Paris remains the center. Everyone else still leans towards it. Looking across Europe reveals a clear pattern. Multi-centric urban systems never appear suddenly through policy decisions. They grow out of long-term decentralization or federal structures, systems France historically avoided.
Germany is the clearest example. Its Länder, the federal states, have strong political authority and act as counterweights to federal power. They control education, police, infrastructure, and economic planning. Local problems are solved locally. That is the strength of federalism. And political independence has produced multiple powerful regional centers. Frankfurt, one of Europe's financial capitals; Munich, a hub of technology and high industry; the Rhine-Ruhr, one of Europe's largest industrial belts. Because of the constitution, regional sovereignty, and fiscal equalization, Germany's economic strength never concentrates in one city. Italy and Spain, though technically unitary, are not single-centered like France. Their powerful historical city-states and regional cultures, Milan, Venice, Barcelona, Seville, existed long before the modern national states. Spain's Comunidades Autónomas and Italy's strong regional administrations formalized these ancient power bases. Thus, Milan and Barcelona have become global cities in their own right, sometimes overshadowing their national capitals. These countries share two conditions. Historically, power was widely distributed, and modern state structures recognized and institutionalized that regional power. Without both conditions, a multicentric urban system does not emerge, and France had neither. In the end, France's urban macrocephaly, the abnormal dominance of Paris, is not a historical accident. It is the product of 3 centuries of deliberate state building. The monarchy and Napoleonic system created a centralized state. The prefect-controlled administration, the Bank of France, and the national education system pulled elites into Paris and locked national power there. Later, the radial TGV network reinforced this centralization. Fast connections flowed only toward Paris, not between regional cities. Modern decentralization reforms look big on paper, but remain politically weak. In an indivisible republic where the central government controls 80% of national spending, real power still resides in the capital. Thus, Paris continues to absorb strategy, wealth, and talent. For real change, France needs more than administrative reforms. It needs fiscal autonomy for regions, independent R&D capacity, and the redistribution of national elite institutions away from Paris. Otherwise, Paris will remain, far into the future, France's singular political, economic, and intellectual center.